Hello and welcome to episode 15 of The Best Games Period. I'm your host, Jack Gardner, and with me today are Jeremy Brown and Daniel Jones. Say hello, fellas.
Hola.
Hello, fellas.
All right. Today we're going to be talking about Portal and Portal 2. Which one's better?
Our first Versus episode.
Yeah.
This could be interesting.
Maybe before we actually start throwing down fisticuffs, how are you guys doing?
I'm good. I've had a pretty crazy week at work, but I've actually managed to play some video games this week, so I'm kind of thrilled about that.
Yeah, it's kind of too bad you can't talk about what's going on at work, because we heard about it behind the scenes, and it's pretty interesting, but not something you can talk
that's
about.
just one part of it, but or two or three parts of it. All the parts I told you about are crazy. Yeah.
It all sounds pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But
I got the dude that quit so he could sell medical marijuana, and now that's essentially illegal in this state. I can talk about that part.
Yeah. That was
that.
interesting.
What an idiot. I can't talk about the rest though. And it's been kind of a crazy week, but Dylan's birthday was on the 1st. We had a pretty good time, invited some friends over. They threw a bunch of knives at things because they're all into throwing knives. That's what kids do these days, I guess.
Wait, what?
Well, like at actual targets and whatnot, not just all willy-nilly.
No, back up to the part where it's just a thing people do these days to
Kids
throw
do.
knives. I don't think... Is that a thing?
Every kid,
I think that's a Montana thing.
Every kid that showed up had like an amazing set of throwing knives.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I do not think that is the norm, but that is incredible.
No, it is what it is.
No
but
judgment,
Jeremy,
but
you realize that Montana is a bit of its own like country sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
We're like the state that, mines tons of coal, but still we're very pristine. So take that for what it is.
I'm still trying to get over the mental image of like several, young teenagers showing up at your house with several sets of throwing knives. Just,
Mr. Brown, I got my knives. I'm ready to play.
Most of them had them in actual cases. They were like leather bound and smelled like mahogany. They were very nice.
Did any of them keep them in their boots?
They could if they wanted to, I reckon.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's incredible. And then you had a guy at work. What was that about again?
So this dude at work put in his notice, 2 weeks notice, right?
Yep.
Because he decided he wanted to grow and sell medical marijuana. Well, like literally 2 days later, the state legislature the state Supreme Court upheld a 2011 bill from the state legislature that made it effectively really impossible to profit off that. But he'd already given his notice. And then he went and told everybody what he was doing. So
He maybe should have been more up on current events in that field before he gave his notice.
He's not a smart man. Kid. Yeah. Whatever. He's like 25. Yeah. So he shockingly was tested for illicit substances and shockingly did not pass that test.
Jeremy,
so not only did I didn't get my 2 weeks, I didn't even get 2 days.
Jeremy, I swear, the ratio of shenanigans to what most people would think your normal job would have is completely out of line.
That's called crossing over the service industry to a professional field. It's just the way it is.
Oh my goodness. Honestly, you could probably just write down... You should keep a diary of all the weird things that happen at work.
I'm going to write a book, Jack. Someday I am going to write a book.
Well, you don't even have to write the book. Just sell that for TV rights to, I don't know. It can be the next Scrubs.
It probably could be. The nursing side of healthcare is really funny, but people don't think about the service side, the food and the health and the housekeeping and whatnot. Some crazy shiznit goes on in those places.
I bet.
And I gotta try to keep it all together. And just, the whole, just all of it.
But you found time to play some games this week.
I did.
In the middle of all that craziness.
Yeah, I finished up Life is Strange. I've got plenty of time into Firewatch. I'm about to finish that.
How do you like that so far?
Firewatch, I think it's awesome.
Yeah, good.
Don't want to spoil anything, but I will say the people that say it's a 2-hour game, I don't know any way, shape, or form how they can say that.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. It's a game that kind of just is what it is.
It's just a story. It's just a straight story.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't finished it, so I haven't seen. Yep. I haven't felt the outrage over the ending that some others have expressed, but
yeah,
it's pretty cool. I did download the Uncharted 4 stress test, which I can play starting tomorrow, I think.
Tomorrow, yeah.
And Walking Dead Michonne and Tales from the Borderlands. So yeah, I got some games to play. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
What about you, Jack? You been playing anything?
I've been playing a little bit here and there. I started playing through the Shadowrun Hong Kong mini campaign. So they released the game several months ago, but they also did a mini campaign that kind of released for free, or at least it released for free for people who backed the game. Okay. And so I started playing through that, and I'm enjoying that quite a bit.
You've been kind of ill, Jack, right?
I have been kind of ill.
I mean, you missed the last episode because you were off campaigning for Donald Trump or something, right?
I would sooner slit my wrists. But I got back from Extra Life United last Saturday. Last Friday. Sorry. Well, technically on Saturday because I got in at midnight. But basically, the day after I got back, I got super ill. Woke up with a 102-degree fever, was coughing and snotting all over the place.
You got the Extra Life flu.
I did. I got the extra sick instead of the extra life.
Oh.
The poison mushroom. But yeah, I'm still not quite 100%, so that might be why my voice sounds a little bit funny. I don't really know, but
well, we missed you on the last show, just so you know.
We did.
Oh, I missed you guys on the last show too. I did edit it though, so it almost felt like I was there.
Well, somebody had to, but yeah, I mean, I'm glad you're starting to feel better.
And thank you.
So I'm gonna give you guys one guess on what I've been playing.
Rocket League.
Yeah,
Jack, what do you think?
Rocket League.
Well, whatever. I don't know why you guys would think that. Yeah, I've been playing tons of Rocket League. I've been playing the ranked matches, and I am so outmatched. It's terrible. But anyway, I've been playing Rocket League, and my article was published in Unwinnable about esports Rocket League.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I helped edit a little bit of that, at least.
You did. You helped edit it a lot, actually.
That's pretty cool for a Rocket League noob to get published like that.
I know, right? to get, published, writing an article about Rocket League, even though I don't really apparently know anything about it, according to most of the people that play against me. Or on the same team as me, actually, too. But what sucks about it is that the gist of the article was about how the players are kind of waiting for Rocket League esports to really take off. Mm-hmm. And Psyonix hadn't really taken much of a stance on that. Well, until yesterday, I think, they announced that, yesterday being Wednesday of, this week, March 2nd, they announced that
could we get Rocket a specific timestamp on that, Daniel?
Official. Well, I'm just saying because people are listening to the show.
We're talking 12:11 Eastern time, or
record. I don't know exactly. 100 hours. They did it right at 1 a.m. Anyway, they they announced that Rocket League Esports Championship. I forget exactly what they called it. But they're partnering with Twitch starting in March to have an official tournament with a $75,000 prize pool, which is really awesome. And I'm very excited for a lot of the guys that I interviewed for that story because they're going to finally get to play and compete for real money for that game.
Yeah, it sucks cool. It's cool, but
it sucks that it coincided with my article. That kind of my article's like obsolete now at this point, but
well, I mean, at least it went up before it became obsolete.
Yeah, well, yeah. But it's still going to be posted on the website. Like, the way Unwinnable works is it gets in the magazine first, and then a couple weeks later it goes on the website, and it still hasn't gone on the website. So it's like, I almost want to contact them and be like, I don't know if we should add a disclaimer or what, but it's fine. It's what it is.
It is too bad that it took them so long to publish it, but...
What they ought not do is charge $9 a magazine, just being honest.
Oh, I totally agree. But, I mean, you can subscribe for $5 a month, which is not terrible. And so, I mean, but it's really, I gotta say, this was the first one that I actually had purchased, and there's tons of really good articles in there. So go support independent writing and buy Unwinnable Monthly if you're interested in reading that. Otherwise, I'll be posting it on Twitter and stuff when it comes on the website.
I mean, I did buy that Xbox magazine when Jack did his Dragon Age article.
Yeah, but that's cheaper.
Barely. When you buy the magazine, but still.
True. So, should we move on to our subject at hand?
Yes, there's no sense in prolonging this debate. So
I guess it's time to start killing each other.
Yeah.
I mean, victory incinerate each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing. I think we both love we all love both of these games. But I don't know that we all agree on exactly which one we love the most.
Okay, so we've actually had this discussion, I think, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago?
Oh, can you tell me what I said then? Because I might change my mind now.
Well...
You were staunchly in support of Portal 2.
No. He was
Would you
on
say
the fence.
Staunchly? Yeah, because...
I don't know.
I've always been on the fence, I think.
And I think you're both crazy, because I think Portal is easily the best of the two. You look at both of them, Portal's clearly the best one. No offense to Portal 2. Portal 2's great. Portal 2 is a fantastic, phenomenal game. But you can't compete with perfection, and Portal is as close as we're going to get to a perfect game.
So, the simplicity of the original Portal is beautiful and amazing. And I greatly appreciate that, Jack. What is your defense of that as opposed to the second one?
I think that the second one is funnier, but I do think that the first one is way more streamlined, way more effective at what it sets out to do, and is perfect for what it is. Okay.
Daniel, I think you're pretty much over the fence on Portal 2 here. So, what do you think separates that from the original?
So, mainly, there's a lot of things that I like more about Portal 2. One, I feel like Aperture Science is more of a well-realized place in Portal 2. So the setting, I feel like the characters are more interesting. The writing is some of the best writing I've ever seen in a video game. And it's one of the funniest games I've ever played. Funnier than Portal 1. But mainly what I like the most about Portal 2 is that the puzzles, you always feel like you're not working to, the only barrier between you and solving a puzzle is your brain, not your dexterity. I felt like Portal 1 was too much in over the line of there's a line between just, like, The Witness and, like, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. Like, there's those puzzles that you don't have to really work too hard, and you don't have to be skilled at platforming or whatever, or using a controller. And then there's those puzzles that you maybe have to be a little too skilled, and there's a fine line between that where it doesn't feel like it's punishing you if you're not really good at playing the actual game. So what a puzzle game should do, in my opinion, is just challenge your brain and your ability to solve the puzzles. But Portal 1, to me, felt a lot of those puzzles were kind of poorly designed in that you had to jump certain ways, you had to look certain ways, and there's certain puzzles in that game where I often felt very dizzy and disoriented and could not figure out where I was, and I didn't feel like the game was challenging my ability, my puzzle solving ability. It was more challenging, like, my dexterity, and it was not as much fun. Whereas Portal 2, I felt like it walked that line perfectly, where it always felt like you were just trying to solve these puzzles, and once you solved them, you figured out how to get from point A to point B, but it wasn't necessarily like a challenge. Do you know which puzzles I'm talking about with Portal 1?
I mean, maybe?
Specifically, there's one puzzle towards the end that's a very good example of this, where you're bouncing up and down on this thing, and on these platforms, and you basically just have to keep opening portals for yourself so that you keep flying through the air up to the next platform. And when you're up in the air, you have to look back down, orient yourself, and shoot at a platform underneath you, and then you go flying back up, and each time you raise up a platform. But you have to orient yourself, and it gets very
Are those not elements of Portal 2? Except maybe you've learned how to do it by then?
No, I don't. I never felt like Portal 2 did that to me. Like, I never felt... I never felt like I had to...
Where did the mean game touch you, Daniel?
No, and it's not even like a problem. Like, I just feel like Portal 2 is a more accessible platformer, for a more accessible puzzle game for a wider audience, which I've always appreciated in games. I don't feel like you should have to be dexterous and a skilled game player in order to play a puzzle game.
See, I don't think that Portal asks that much of
No, it doesn't ask as much as some other games,
like,
but it asks more than you think.
It does ask for a certain amount of, like, mouse, dexterity and, like, being aware of how to navigate in a 3D environment. But I don't think it's too much. I don't think it's too much to ask from gamers. And, like, maybe it's too much to ask from, like, say, my mom, who's never played a game like that before, and who would be hard-pressed to figure out how to move around in a 3D environment. But from someone who's, been playing games for, like, a year or 2 years, they can figure out Portal. Like, that's kind of the beauty of Portal, is that it teaches you how to play. And whereas if you jump to that level that you're talking about at the end, I remember which one you're talking about, if you jump to that right away, you might not know how to do it. It'd be really hard to figure out. But if you play through Portal from the beginning, the game does such a perfect job of teaching you how to play just by allowing you to play it. In fact, it's probably one of the, in that regard, it's probably one of the best designed games to date that way. I have two examples that I go to whenever people talk about, in-game learning, I guess. I'm sure there's a better phrase for it that I just can't think of at the moment. But games that teach you how to play as you play and don't have just like a really hackneyed tutorial. And Portal.
Well, there's like that really good scene in Indie Game the movie where the guy on Team Meat is explaining the early levels of Meat Boy and how they teach the player the different ways to jump.
Exactly. Meat Boy is a really good example of that. My other really good example of that is Mega Man X. Does a really great job of teaching just through gameplay. But I think as far as Portal's concerned, it probably does this the best out of any of them. And that's because of all of the different layers it uses. That it includes story in there. It includes comedy. It includes character development via, the player's relationship with GLaDOS, the insane robot AI. And maybe that's part of why I'm not such a huge fan of Portal 2. Like, I really enjoyed Portal 2. But one of my least favorite parts about it is that it brings GLaDOS back. Like, I didn't need more GLaDOS. I needed more of something else. And it kind of irritated me to an extent. So maybe I'm being a little bit unfairly harsh towards Portal 2. And in this case, unfairly harsh is calling it a phenomenal game and phenomenal experience that everyone should have.
God, you monster.
But I don't think it's as good as the first Portal. I feel like the first Portal is
perfect game.
It's a pure experience, and Portal 2 feels like a glob thrown at that pure experience and just being like, here's some more of it. But I don't really need that more of it. It's nice, but I don't really need it.
So here's what I love about Portal 2. Daniel, you can go ahead because I'm going to go off on my rant when you're done talking.
Okay, well, I'm just going to say, when I go back, when I want to play Portal, I don't want to play Portal 1. I want to go back and play Portal 2.
Oh, you're crazy.
Yeah. Anyway.
So
Jeremy.
Here's what I love about Portal 2. I love Wheatley. I love the different elements that added to it. The splatter, the paint thing, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. I love the story. I actually do personally enjoy that GLaDOS is involved. I like the exploring outside of just Aperture Science. I like Cave Johnson. I love lemons. I love all kinds of things. But you know what I love about Portal? Is the puzzle solving. And it is, I think, Jack, when you called it a peer experience or whatever you just called it,
yeah,
I think that was pretty spot on. My most favorite moments from Portal 2 came from playing co-op with friends, which was great. I loved it. I still love it. And I'm very torn on this game. I really don't know, and I'm not going to make a decision right this moment, which of the two is my favorite. They're both, in my opinion, best games, period.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Just
it's kind of like
the experience I had with Portal, and you guys know how I am. Like, the original always seems to hold more weight for me.
Yep.
And someday I'm going to go against that. I know I am. But, in general, like, there would not be Portal 2 without the original Portal. And to me, Daniel, like you're talking about, those puzzles that seemed kind of crazy were crazy, but they were fun to figure out. Like, and I don't even mean the last level. Like, the first time you have to slap a portal down on the bottom and the side so that you fall through that and shoot through to get to another platform. Like, that just amazed me. I'm like, wow.
Well, that's what Jack was talking about. I mean, that's the way that game taught you the mechanics, and
and I will also say, in the original Portal, the companion cube actually was a companion, where in Portal 2, like, you had all kinds of companions, so it kind of took a little bit of weight off the companion cube, so to speak.
I guess I never really cared that much about the companion cube.
Oh my gosh, you are a monster.
What else was...
When I threw it in the fire, I was like, alright.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay.
I do think it's really interesting the amount of thought that went into the first Portal game, because originally the companion cube level was just you carrying a box through these series of obstacles, and then they kind of, after testing around a little bit, one of the designers, I think it was Kim Swift actually, read about the psychological study about how people kind of begin to grow attached and, kind of give inanimate objects personalities when they're in isolation with them. And so...
Wilson!
like Wilson from Castaway. So they reskinned the cube with a little heart on it and then added dialogue that gave context for it, and being forced to incinerate it kind of prepares players for that end confrontation with GLaDOS, where they have to incinerate the cores. And so all around it just kind of tightened up the experience a lot by making people... forcing people to develop a relationship with an inanimate cube sounds really weird and kind of evil, but in the end, that made the game a stronger experience.
I mean, what else is there in that game? There's no cake. I mean, clearly.
Well, there is cake, though, at the end.
Wow.
There is some cake at the end.
I mean, are you sure that's not a lie?
It could be a lie.
I did find out that cake at the end is actually based on a real life cake that is sold near the Valve offices.
Yeah, there's actually a recipe for it in the end credits in the code in Portal 1.
Great.
And speaking of end credits, the end credit Portal song, Portal 1, regardless of how I end up on this game, is far and away better than the Portal 2 end song.
Jonathan,
I mean, I still listen to that song 3 or 4 times a week. I mean, it's on several playlists.
Jonathan Colton is one of my favorite geek musicians. I really like a lot of his songs, and I was really, because I had actually just discovered him prior to playing Portal, and I was super surprised to hear him doing the Portal song. But it's really great. It's perfect.
Side note, do you guys know that I met Kim Swift?
I remember that.
Yeah. I met her.
You played Quantum Break? Is that the game?
Conundrum.
Oh my gosh.
Conundrum.
That would have been... Wow, that game's been in development in a long time. No, I played Quantum Conundrum in front of her. That was crazy.
I got the quantum part right. Come on now. Give me some credit.
You did?
What was she like in person?
She was very pleasant, a very nice person.
Yeah.
Did she talk fast? Would you say swiftly?
No.
I'm sorry, Kim.
It's okay. Oh, Kim Swift, what are you doing here?
What? Oh, special guest. Anyway.
Crazy.
No, but how did you meet her?
PAX East. So I was scheduled to see Quantum Conundrum. I was covering it for the Game Effect. Woo! Long live the Game Effect. R.I.P. And I was scheduled to see Quantum Conundrum, and I went to this little hotel room, in the hotel that's connected to the Boston Convention Center, and they had lunch there, and it was Square Enix publishing, so they had, Deus Ex was there, Hitman was there, Sleeping Dogs, and Quantum Conundrum. And they had food for us and drinks, and I was there for 3 hours checking out all their stuff, and she was just hanging out in the main room, so I was shoving food in my face, and then she's like, "You want to play?" And I was like, in the mid-bite, I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure, hold on," and then sat down and played, and Quantum Conundrum is a fun game, but it's no Portal, and especially when you play a game like that in the middle, in media res, in a demo, when they don't start you off at the tutorial level, and you're trying to figure out the mechanics.
Yeah.
I was having some trouble, and she was sitting behind me, laughing as I was trying to figure out this probably rudimentary puzzle.
Was it as bad as the time Tony Hawk watched you faceplant in Tony Hawk?
No, No, that was worse. Man, I'm terrible at video games. Why did they let me do these things?
Well, that game got plastered in reviews.
Yeah, that was a bad game.
Might not have been entirely your fault.
I could tell it was a bad game at E3. I just couldn't say that. Just didn't want to say that anyway. Preview.
But yeah, Portal.
Yeah.
I mean, Portal 2, to its credit, I understand why people like it and why some people would say that it's better than Portal, even though I very much disagree with that statement. But I do think a large reason that people think that it's better comes down to J.K. Simmons just being absolutely one of the most funniest people. One of the most funniest. I just said that.
You did?
Yeah.
He's hilarious as Cave Johnson.
My mom was better at delivering those lines.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
I'm sad that she still doesn't do that, but I totally get why she doesn't. For context, on our old podcast, sometimes Daniel's mom would read monologues from famous video games, and she did one from Portal 2.
She did the lemon speech.
It was pretty great.
It was good. But I have to say, the J.K. Simmons part was actually my least favorite part of Portal 2.
Oh my gosh, you are the craziest person.
I'm not saying I don't like it. I loved it. But I loved the rest of that game so much. That's probably my one complaint about Portal 2, is that it goes on a little too long and that you don't really need that whole middle section where you go back in time to the lower part of Aperture. But I love that part because it adds to the story, it adds to the history of the facility, and that's really part of what I love about Portal 2 in the first place, is that it adds to the history of that facility. And as a Half-Life fan, there is the Aurora Borealis ship down there. You can see it. If you search, it's around the corner. It's amazing. So, what? I'm just geeking out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
See,
don't care.
When life gives you lemons, you make Peter Parker a freelance photographer. That's what you do.
See,
but
I don't care
I
at
could
all.
have done without that whole part.
I don't see that. To me, when you're saying you could just skip an entire middle section of the game, that's just saying, hey, you know what didn't have to skip the entire middle section of? The first
Formula
game.
1. Yeah.
It's like Mexico in Red Dead. I wouldn't want the game without it, but, you know, if I had to, it would be okay.
Like,
wait, so now you're going to vote for Donald Trump and build the wall so we don't have to go to Mexico and Red Dead? What the hell?
I just have to say, like, I don't care about Half-Life lore. I never have. And with that being said, I didn't need to know more about the history of Aperture Science.
There's lore in Half-Life?
I guess.
There is.
But I didn't need to know more about Aperture Science, other than it was, your typical crazy company that invented an AI that went haywire and killed everyone. Like, I didn't need to know more about that.
Yeah, the mystery of that in the first was pretty great. I mean, it really was. Just not knowing. And, you found enough hidden rooms and you saw the crazy writing on the wall. But that was it. It was what it was. It was pure gameplay, puzzle solving. There's some brilliance in that.
Yeah, and then there was some story to it too, and it was just the right amount of story for what that game was. And to me, Portal 2 just, whenever I think of that story, I think of the boardroom meeting that must have happened to kind of get it started, and just a bunch of people sitting around in a room that go, we should really make a sequel to Portal. Everyone loves that game. But where would we go with it? And then it's just like, oh, well, you'd have to bring GLaDOS back. You'd have to do that. There's not really anywhere else to go except to describe more of the history of the facility. And to their credit, they did that premise really, really well. But it's just not
And then even with the puzzles, they expanded on the puzzle design by adding in the paints, which I felt were really fun. And towards the end, when you have puzzles that are combining the paints and the portals and all the different kinds of paints, and you're having to use all of that stuff that you learned, that's classic game design. And it's just, by the end, you're utilizing everything that you learned throughout that entire adventure and that entire game. And it's so good.
I mean, it's good, but I think Portal did it better. Like, I think that Portal had so much, like you were saying, you could take out that middle section of Portal 2 and it wouldn't suffer that much. You can't take out...
That's how good it is.
That doesn't make sense. But there is a very necessary build-up of learning how to use just the simple mechanic, really, of the portal gun in the first game. And I think the second one rehashes that a little bit too much and then realizes the necessity of adding additional stuff to the gameplay and does that with the paints. And the paints don't really connect with me as well as just the simple mechanic of the portal, the simple yet deep mechanic of the portal gun.
Yep. But all the paints are just another addition to that mechanic. And they're not a whole new mechanic. They're just another layer, just like the sentry guns were in the first game.
Right.
It's just a natural extension.
I get that. It's just, I felt like it was better. They pulled it off better in the first game. Like, it's just so simple, and all of the things they added to it are intuitive. Like, you get that you can knock over a sentry gun by just putting a portal below it and then putting a portal someplace else. And meanwhile with the paints, it's not really that intuitive until after you learn it, which is kind of what makes that middle section important and not skippable, I guess, because a lot of that's in the middle section, learning that.
Yeah, that's true.
And like you said, I feel like it just drags on a little bit too long for what it is. Jeremy, what are you thinking here?
I love them both so much.
I know.
Yeah, I guess I think the Portal 2 offered lots of great additions to Portal 1, but I don't think they were necessarily like additions that always had to be made.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there was more, there was more story, there was more puzzle elements, but I think it was put in there just to mix it up a little bit. Portal 1 is just a brilliant game. Portal 2 is also just a brilliant game. So, I guess my thoughts are Portal is a brilliant series. And I hope that a third one does come out at some point. I don't think that middle section was skippable, necessarily, in the complete context of Portal 2. Like, if you had played Portal 1, then maybe you could see it that way. But if you hadn't, if your first experience with the Portal universe was Portal 2, I mean, that was a pretty important section. They added some things to Portal 2 that were great, like just being able to go outside, see some foliage, see some wreckage of the Aperture Laboratories. But it was also great in Portal, the original, that you didn't get to see that. You literally felt like you were stuck in this place, and you had to go through it, and the only thing you could do was figure out the puzzles and move on. And it had a good variety. Like, it didn't hold your hand, but it did teach you.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. Oh, fun fact about the first Portal, by the way. I never knew this until I kind of did my homework on Portal, but apparently it's based off of a student game from DigiPen.
Narbacular Drop.
Yeah. Narbacular Drop.
Yeah,
Didn't know that.
Wow.
Never heard the word narbacular before.
Daniel and I knew something Jack didn't. That's got to be a first.
Yeah.
Right?
And apparently Kim Swift was one of the people on that too. So
yes, she was.
I didn't know that.
That's how she started at Valve.
She quickly established herself as a key part of that team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kim Swift, quickly. Come on.
Oh, gosh. You're too fast.
Once again, I'm sorry, Kim.
Does the story count at all? Do you guys... I feel like we've kind of been discounting the story in both games as a factor.
I think the story counts, and that's part of the reason why I don't connect as well with the second one.
Oh, you're so
crazy. I mean, it's well done. It's good for what it is, but it gives more context for the world as it exists and GLaDOS and all that stuff, but
man, the second one has Wheatley though. Come on.
Yeah, Wheatley.
Wheatley
is one of my favorite video game characters of all time. Like, even more than GLaDOS. Like, I just think he is a fantastic character, and he's so well acted and so well animated. Like, the animations on Wheatley are so ingenious. The way he moves around, it's just incredible.
Wheatley's okay.
What?
And
he's okay.
And his arc is so great. It's great. The way he comes into power and doesn't know what to do with it, that's interesting and funny. It's great.
Wheatley's more than okay, honestly.
I mean, he's fun. He's a fun character, but when you're saying he's better than GLaDOS,
wait,
I don't think so.
I didn't say
that.
No,
I said that.
Yeah.
I mean, some ways. In some ways, I think he's better than GLaDOS.
Like, I think it plays into what we said earlier, and I will admit that Portal 2 is funnier, and Wheatley is funny, and Cave Johnson is funny, and I think what they do with GLaDOS as a character is clever, and reveal about her backstory. But at the end of the day, I didn't need to know any of that stuff, because it was all so well said in the first one.
I feel like we're talking about, like, take my dog and cat, for instance. I love them both dearly. But I had my dog first. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
plus,
the dog wouldn't have the personality he has without the cat, and vice versa. But Hershey is my companion cube.
Aww. It's so sweet. And now you need to get Hershey a little companion cube dog costume for Halloween.
He has a companion cube chew toy, but Jennifer's dog destroyed it.
Oh no.
Because he doesn't really do chew toys.
Oh.
I will say, Portal 1 probably has my favorite puzzle in any video game of all time. And it's one of the last puzzles. It's the one where you walk into the room and it just looks completely daunting. There's those little laser balls. There's like 3 of them bouncing back and forth. And there's like an elevator and a platform that goes back and forth to another platform. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I think so, yeah.
That puzzle, I love that puzzle so much. I remember walking into that puzzle room at first and just being completely overwhelmed. I couldn't understand. I could not process all of the various pieces going on in that room. Like, the game leads you to that point where you understand what everything does. You understand how to get the platforms to move. You understand what different walls you can shoot portals at and which ones you can't. You understand what walls the laser balls work on and which ones they don't. You understand what all the different things do, but taking them all at the same time is really daunting. And then when you actually figure it out, it's incredibly rewarding.
Yeah.
So I do love that room. I remember finally solving that puzzle and figuring it out, and I just felt so good.
See, I kind of feel the same way about Portal 2's co-op. Not so much about the single player part of that.
Yeah.
And oh man, I love that co-op so much. I played the crap out of it.
The puzzle design in the co-op is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the way that they integrated the 2 players into the puzzles.
Yeah. And From, just a basic systemic historical point of view, it was the first Steam/PSN crossover, which wasn't done. It didn't have quite the effect people thought, but it worked. And that was kind of important.
Nice.
Yeah, because the person I played co-op with most played on Steam and I played on PSN. And there weren't any more issues than trying to play co-op on any other PSN game. I guess I'll put it that way.
Right.
But it was fun to be able to talk over the mic and try to figure out the puzzles in a completely different way. That part was fabulous. And I will always greatly appreciate that game for that.
And there's a few puzzles in Portal 2. I feel like we're not giving Portal 2's puzzles the credit that they deserve. Portal 1 has brilliant puzzles. I will completely agree with that. But I do think Portal 2 has some excellent puzzles that I remember. There's one late where you have to lay all these, I can't even remember, but you have to get the paint down in certain, man, I can't describe this puzzle. I'm picturing it in my head.
In Portal 2?
Yeah.
There's lots of places you gotta get the paint down just right.
I know, but man, I can't even think of it right now, but
yet you flawlessly described that last level in Portal 1.
Well,
I'm just
that's
saying.
the only one that I can really flawlessly describe, because I remember that one really well.
I do think it is pretty telling that you can't remember this awesome puzzle from Portal 2. But almost the entire experience of the first Portal game is memorable to me. And I know that's kind of anecdotal, but the part with the companion cube, the part where you have to escape incineration.
Yeah.
Finding the Rat Man's writings for the first time.
Yep.
Even the first time you think you're going to outsmart the game and try to take a companion cube or other item with you through the disintegration zone or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
I mean, we all tried that once, and we just, pretty early on in the game, and that just sticks on my mind. And of course, the same thing happened in Portal 2, but it would not have happened if Portal 1 hadn't existed. Oh, I don't want to talk about this game anymore.
The part where you come up on a platform to this just massive room, and you're just surrounded by turrets, and it doesn't cut away to cutscene or anything. It doesn't get you out of it. You have to figure out how to get out of that situation yourself. I remember that moment.
Yeah.
But I don't remember how I did it or anything, but I remember just coming up and seeing all these turrets in every direction, being freaked out. Yeah. Alright, Portal 1 is pretty brilliant, but I just have a special place for Portal 2, that's all.
I mean, why are we still talking when there's science to do? Seriously.
It's
a tough call.
I understand why it's a tough call. I get it. I get people who, consider Portal 2 to be the superior game, but I think they're wrong. That being said, there, like you said, there are important historical elements for Portal 2. I don't know that J.K. Simmons has ever been in another video game, but do you guys off the top of your heads?
He wasn't in any of the Spider-Man PS2 games?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think he might have been in one of the Spider-Man games, or at least one of the Lego games.
Okay, that makes sense.
Wasn't he in Lego the movie, the video game? Because wasn't he in the Lego movie?
But that would have been after? I mean, based off my knowledge.
Was he in the Lego movie?
Maybe he wasn't. I could be completely wrong.
I don't know.
I don't think he was, but either way, it still would have been after. I'm pretty sure of that.
I'm guessing he was probably in the Spider-Man 2 video game.
Yeah, I think he was, but
he must have been. That game, that game's pretty amazing, by the way.
Amazing Spider-Man?
I see what you did there. I didn't mean to do it, but you took it there.
I'm just slinging some webs here, freelancing.
But yeah, I guess at the end of the day, I feel like Portal 2 is a little bit too derivative of the first game. Like, it's not, to me, like, there's, like, whenever we get to our inevitable Mass Effect episodes, and we're talking about Mass Effect 1 versus Mass Effect 2.
You mean the end of our friendship?
Mass Effect 2 while it is a continuation of the first Mass Effect game, is like a completely different beast.
Actually, Mass Effect 3 is better.
That's going to be the best episode ever.
He was in Lego Dimensions.
Oh, he was? Cool.
Yeah. Just want to...
Again, pretty sure that was after.
Yeah, he didn't say that it was the only... He didn't say... He said... Ugh.
He's just razzing you. He's razzing you, Daniel.
Oh my god. He didn't say that there was no other game after. Well, actually, he did, and I'm disputing that fact. God damn it! He was in... Well, that's all I'm finding, actually.
Okay, well.
Portal 2.
Good point. I'm way too sick for this.
That's probably why he was in Portal 2.
Whiplash,
he was actually probably
in
Lego Dimensions because of Portal. Because there was Portal stuff in Lego Dimensions.
Yeah, but have you seen Whiplash? That was pretty awesome. He was in that.
No.
The cowboy monkey?
I want to see that.
What? No. Whiplash. I'm pretty sure it won some Grammys.
Yeah, Whiplash the cowboy
or
monkey.
Oscars.
It was a great commercial. They glued a monkey to a dog.
Listen, I love monkey commercials. I get it. But
Whiplash is the movie about the music teacher and the drummer.
Yeah. Great movie. You guys should watch it.
Yeah, I want to see it. So, where do we fall on Portal versus Portal 2?
So let's start here, if you don't mind. Would you say Portal 2 is a best game period?
Yes.
Daniel, would you?
Yeah, for sure.
Daniel, would you say Portal 1 is the best game period?
Yes.
Jack, would you?
Yes, but it's even more of a best game period than Portal 2.
I was going to get there. Okay.
What about you?
I would say Portal 2 is definitely a best game period. And I would also say Portal 2 could not exist without Portal 1. So in a shocking twist of fate, if I had to pick, if I had to tell somebody which of the two games to play, I would tell them to play Portal.
Yes. In your face, Daniel.
I would tell them Portal 2.
Is that in our face?
No, it's just what I believe. I believe Portal 2 is all around a better game.
See, I think if you played Portal 2 and then Portal 1, you couldn't appreciate Portal 1 as much.
I'm not saying...
And this is my criteria here now, not yours. Man, I don't even want to choose, but dang it. I gotta go Portal.
I'm saying that if you had to play one of those games, for most people, including people that don't typically play video games, I would recommend Portal 2.
Oh, you're crazy. But I get why you're saying it. I get it. But you're crazy, but I get it.
Crazy like a fox.
But I do have to say, I was not expecting the conversation to go this way when we started the episode, because I'm pretty sure last time we talked about it, Jeremy ended up coming down on your side.
But so I think I was in the hype of playing the co-op at that time.
Yeah, I feel like I won this time, which is nice. It's a good feeling.
It's not about winning or losing.
Even though when we did our 10 best games of the generation, Portal 1 was on the list, not 2. So you won that one as well.
Yes. Yeah. It was a hard battle.
Like, Portal 2 is not a bad game. I mean...
No.
It's terrible to... I mean, yeah.
That's what makes these conversations so hard and fun, though.
Fun
ultimately,
fact, by a 4-to-1 ratio on Twitter, the followers I have selected Portal 2.
Oh.
yeah.
Well, they're crazy too, and they can hang out with Daniel in his weird Bizarro world.
Ultimately, people should play both games. If you have not played either Portal game,
Yeah, definitely.
go play them both.
And, Portal, the original Portal is a pretty quick playthrough, pretty short. And Portal 2 isn't exactly, RPG. I think everybody should play both. But I think Portal 1 is the definitive Portal game thus far. I'm sorry, Daniel.
It's okay.
Do I still get my mini fridge?
No, definitely not. And I'm gonna unmake the bed and everything. It's not gonna be clean up here. I'm not gonna vacuum or dust.
Oh, I'm gonna feel right at home
before you come.
Nice.
It looks nice up here now. We just cleaned a bunch yesterday. Looks real good. Anyway, that was episode 15.
Wait, did you ever actually state where you land? Well,
I did.
Okay. Just to be clear, you think Portal 2 is better than Portal 1?
Portal 2.
Okay.
Jack, you didn't actually officially state where you land.
I feel like I've been pretty clear.
It's not official.
Yeah, I think that if you're gonna play one of these two fine games, it should be the first Portal game. Because, honestly, Portal 2 is great, but if you're gonna have to pick which one of them is the condensed, pure version of what that series is about, it's gonna be the first one. Some games kind of evolve their worlds and their stories as they go along, like Mass Effect does. Portal hasn't really done that so far. So, just play the first one. You can play the second one. It's a great game. You probably should play it. But if you're going to only play one, it should just be the original Portal.
See, both games are great, but if you really need to let off some steam and open up a valve, Portal 1 is awesome at that. It's just pure gameplay and mouse, keyboard, or controller, whatever you decide to use.
So anyway.
Oh, come on, laugh at that joke. That was funny.
I didn't want to give you the satisfaction. Jack, Jeremy,
Daniel,
thank you both for joining me tonight on this adventure in this fiery debate.
You're welcome.
I still love you both and appreciate you, even though you're wrong.
It happens.
And thank you, good listeners, for joining us for episode 15 of the Best Games Period. No, I thought this was 14.
You said 15 before.
Yeah, you've said 15 like twice now, so...
Shoot!
Pretty sure that's where we're at.
Episode 15 of the Best Games Period. Dang it! If you like the show, please let us know.
No, it is 15.
I just said 15.
Okay.
What in the world is going on right now? You're both ruining my flow. Anyway, if you like the Best Games Period, please let us know. We love to get some comments on the show. We love constructive feedback. You can leave us a review on iTunes, where you can find the episodes every Monday. You can also follow us on Twitter at Best Games Period. And you can listen to the show on SoundCloud and Libsyn, our hosting site, as well as iTunes. And you can also watch video versions of the episodes as they go up on YouTube. Come back next week for what should be a very interesting discussion on Resident Evil 4 with a special guest. Do we want to reveal who the special guest is, Jack, or leave that?
We will leave that for next week.
All right. Until next time, thank you all for listening to the Best Games Period.
You know who I bet thinks, as a whole, Portal 2 is the better game?
Bizarro Superman?
Astronauts. Because it's in space. Oh, that was terrible.
This was a triumph. I'm making a note here, huge success. hard to overstate my satisfaction. Aperture science. We do what we must because we can. For the good of all of us, except the ones who are dead. But there's no sense crying over every mistake. You just keep on trying till you run out of cake. And the science gets done, and you make a neat gun for the people who are still alive. I'm not even angry. I'm being so sincere right now. Even though you broke my heart and killed me and tore me to pieces and threw every piece into a fire. As they burned, it hurt because I was so happy for you. Now these points of data make a beautiful line, and we're out of beta, we're releasing on time. So I'm glad I got burned. Think of all the things we learned for the people who are still alive. Go ahead and leave me. I think I prefer to stay inside. Maybe you'll find someone else to help you. Maybe Black Mesa. That was a joke, haha, fat chance. Anyway, this cake is great. It's so delicious and moist. Look at me still talking when there's science to do. When I look out there, it makes me glad I'm not you. I've experiments to run. There is research to be done on the people who are still alive. And believe me, I am still alive. I'm doing science and I'm still alive. I feel fantastic and I'm still alive. While you're dying, I'll be still alive. And when you're dead, I will be still alive. Still alive. Still alive.
Jeremy, how do you say how do you say that character's name?
What do you mean, GLaDOS?
Damn it. I guess I'm the weird one. I say Gladys. I just say Gladys.
GLaDOS?
Yeah, Gladys.
I thought you were going to say GLaDOS, but GLaDOS? I don't know that I've ever heard that.
What is wrong with calling her Gladys?
That's like people that call Kratos Kratos. Or Kratos.
Kratos.
It must be a
I call him Kratos.
Maybe by the time I come home from Connecticut, I'll be saying everything like that. Like, have some nice blueberries. I don't know.
Blueberries.